Serge Ibaka and the Raptors feeding off the home crowd in Toronto and tying up this series at 2 apiece. All Raptors tonight who pulled away, led by as many as 25, and take a 120-102 Game 4 win. If you subscribe to the theory that a series doesn't begin until a road team wins, then there is no series. If you like really close series where it comes down to 3 games to win 2, then this is the series for you, because that's where we are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, and, you know, both games have played out very similarly in that both teams had a chance in what I call 50-50 games to win a game on the road. Mm-hmm. Neither did. And then the other game, the home team emphatically won. And
right.
So now it does come down to a best 2 out of 3. And when you're an experienced team, which Toronto is, if you think about it, you know, you got Kawhi Leonard, who's MVP of the finals. Danny Green's a world champion. Mm-hmm. Marcus Gasol's played in a lot of playoff games over the course of his career. Serge Ibaka, you know, they've got a lot of tried and true veteran guys. They understand, like in a 7-game series, we know we got to win 1 there. Yeah, we'd like to win 1 or 2 or Game 5.
Sure.
We got 4 chances. And generally with each game, you should get a little more comfortable playing on the road in that environment. You know, you have a rhythm and a cadence to the game. And so right now, if you're Toronto, you feel really good because your scheme defensively, even though Chris Middleton and Giannis play well, no one else really had much of an impact.
Right.
Eric Bledsoe has been a no-show in this postseason. That's basically 2 postseasons in a row in a lot of ways. And so their inability to make shots from the perimeter, particularly at that position, Malcolm Brogdon struggled as well. It's going to be a challenge for them. You would hope they're going to have that home cooking and guys will get their rhythm like we saw with Fred VanVleet tonight and how he and Serge Ibaka bounced back. But Toronto now is going to go to Milwaukee with a tremendous amount of confidence, knowing that, hey, if we get 5, Game 5, we got a chance to close it out on our home floor, mm-hmm. which as the team that doesn't have home court, that's like a 7th game.
Sure.
If you have that chance.
You just pulled a Bill Walton on me. You went like 2.5 minutes before I even introduced you.
Yeah, well, I'm hyped.
That's Greg Anthony. That's Jason Terry right over there. I'm Matt.
Someone might have
no
watched
introduction needed.
No.
I don't know what point I was going to make. What are your thoughts on Game 4 here tonight? Toronto got contributions from their bench was huge tonight on a night when Kawhi Leonard was effective in a lot of ways, but didn't really seem to have his best stuff, as they say in baseball. Didn't really seem to have his fastball, if you will.
Well, Toronto came out with the mindset of we are going to be the aggressor. If you look at the head of the snake, and that's Kyle Lowry, he scored 12 of their first 24 points in the first quarter. He came out very dominant. He hit open shots. He made plays. GA talked about his presence on the glass. Just the little things is how Kyle Lowry put his imprint on this game tonight. And then the contribution from the bench, 48 bench points. Serge Ibaka in the second quarter had about 3 offensive rebounds that were momentum-type plays that took their lead from 6 to 11. And then nobody for the Milwaukee Bucks bench were in double figures.
It was the opposite of Game 3 when they were great. The bench was great in that game, kind of kept them in it.
Yeah, and it kept them in it. But, again, VanVleet tonight, he finally found his rhythm from 3. Norman Powell has been the most consistent and productive bench player throughout these playoffs. He got up 18 shots tonight, only had 18 points, but those were big points from him. They'll need to get that same consistency when they go into Milwaukee. As you know, bench players, GA, I was one, you were one at a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. You are most comfortable at home. Yeah. Right? Now you go on the road, it's just a little different. The hoops are still 10 feet.
Yeah, why is that, by the way?
But I don't know. The hoops are still 10 feet.
I've been asking this question for 15 years now, and I still don't get it.
Just go ahead.
You know what I think part of it is, generally the bench players aren't the stars.
Sure.
And, you know, so we need confidence to help us get our rhythm and get into a flow. Like, you know, your stars, they can miss 5 or 6 shots early in the game. It doesn't change who they are and their approach. We still expect them, and they know we need them to impact the game. For us, though, we generally aren't going to get 18 shots.
No.
You know, like in a game when you come off the bench, unless you're making a lot of shots.
Right.
You know, and so you tend to, when you're home, you got the crowd behind you, you feed off of that, you get that energy, and you do know those opportunities will be there, but you've played in that arena an exponential amount of times compared to being on the road.
Right.
You know where your spots are going to be. You tend to be a quarter step quicker, because you got more confidence, and that does play a role in it. And that's a big part of it. I always felt that way.
I mean, it's true. You see it play out throughout the playoffs. It's definitely a thing. I've never completely understood it, but that makes sense.
And some of it is because you're younger.
If you're a starter and you're a star, you've got the green light, right? You're not worried about how many shots you're going to get off. But to your point, you're going to have limited minutes as a guy coming off the bench. And maybe, particularly if you're a scorer coming off the bench, if you don't have it that night, you may not be in the game that long.
May not be in the game. You look at George Hill tonight, played 26 minutes. To your point, GA, just didn't get the attempts. Yeah. He's 1 for 2.
Right.
He's been their leading scorer off the bench in the playoffs, averaging almost 15 points a game. So, again, just not those attempts. He'll get many more opportunities at home, which he did in games 1 and game 2.
Malcolm Brogdon, 2 of 11 off the bench as well. He's been really